Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, many friends here. So I have been given this task of sharing some learnings and insights about this issue, which is the issue across the country for some time now in terms of policy aspects of it, as well as practice in very many regions. What I plan to do is to take you through quickly a few models tried both within India as well as abroad, two Asian experiences outside India, both successes, one failure in India, and three ongoing diversification attempts in Indian states. Then some takeaways on terms of what is that need to be done if you really think agricultural or crop diversification. I would rather focus more on crop diversification to make it more precise, not agriculture, because that can bring many other things into play. And what do we learn there? So if you look at diversification as a concept, it's basically about shift of resources from farm to non-farm or within the farm in terms of allocation of resources to a large mix of diverse and complementary activities within agriculture. And resources can be also moved from low value to high value crops. Of course, the concept of high value crops can be very dynamic. It keeps changing depending on how market responds to different food and fiber items. It has many variants in terms of mix of crops, seasonal, annual, growing more number of crops in the same season or same year or same area, crop rotations, inter and mixed cropping, polyculture, crop and non-crop, mixed farming, agroforestry and whatnot. So all that is about crop diversification or agricultural diversification, and this is basically a transitory stage in terms of movement of people from agri to non-agri sectors. So it's a bridge between declining income opportunities from growing food and fiber crops and an exit altogether from agriculture at a stage where we are missing the bus in terms of not able to move in terms of structural transformation of people. We have moved in terms of structural transformation of output and incomes, but people still remain within agriculture. So how do we? My own take on this issue is, I would look at crop diversification more as a mechanism to profitably retain people within agriculture for some more time, maybe 2 to 3 decades, if not longer period of time, because we don't have many other options outside agriculture for people who do agriculture now, whether as owner farmers or farm workers, men or women. Yeah. So I want to share with you a few models where it has been tried in a very significant way, and we can also assess whether we as a country in terms of policy are actually doing anything significant or just talking about it. This is Thailand model tried in the 1990s. The only Asian country which wrote in their national plans that we want to do agricultural or crop diversification, and we want to do it through a vehicle called contract farming. They wrote in their national plans twice, 5-year plans, 2 times. They wrote there that our agriculture development strategy would be implemented through contract farming arrangement. And they had this 4-sector cooperation plan where private sector, state, farmers and their groups, and the banking sector would come together to drive this movement towards newer crops, high value crops, export oriented crops and so on. So that is what was a big success. Today you name a crop, it was tried in Thailand for contract farming, for diversification, from small crops to big crops. Of course, not every crop was a success story, but by and large, they did very well with this. And Thailand was known as kitchen of Japan in terms of food exports they had lined up. Yeah, there have been some ill effects of this, because when you have this kind of mechanism, commercial mechanism brought in, it does bring some amount of ill effect. We're talking green revolution ill effects in the morning, previous session. But by and large, it has, if we are talking about diversification being attempted through this kind of mechanism, then this has been a relative success, I would call it that way, because they had this bank for agriculture and agricultural cooperative like our NABARD, which made sure that we will extend credit to these contract growers who were preferably organized as groups. Very little individual contract farming, but groups being made organized, set up to negotiate contracts with companies, both domestic and international or global. And Department of Agriculture Extension providing extension to these farmers. So that is the public part of it. Yeah, of the 4 sectors, cooperation plan, one was state, other was the banking sector, third was farmers and the groups, and fourth was the companies which were lining up these contracts and production systems. The second is planned production and marketing, PPM, attempted in Taiwan for 3 crops, canned mushrooms, asparagus and pineapple, much earlier than Thailand in the 1960s and 70s. Again, it has been a great success story in terms of, in a short period of time, moving people from one set of crops to another set of crops which were higher value, and attending that with very good market linkage. So somewhere I have written that within 20 years, the country became a very large exporter of asparagus and mushrooms, one of the large exporters of these 2 crops because of this. But difference here is, I think we should not mind, because we are missing the bus somewhere. They base this entire experience on farmer associations, not individual farmers dealing with all these different agencies which were engaging them, whether in mushrooms or asparagus or pineapple. Collection center based purchase of produce, jointly run by canners and farmer associations. So you can see the connections in networks and so on there. Quality standards set and meted by provincial Department of Agriculture Forestry, not leaving farmers alone like our government is leaving most of the time in terms of making some act and not enforcing it, whether at the union level or at the state level. Yeah, like I have been arguing for group contracts since 2000. But it's not even mentioned in any of the documents in the Government of India policies or acts. Oh, sorry, I think I'm quite loud. Yeah, recording. Okay, but this little sort of, if I have to click anyway. So that is, I would rather go fast now because otherwise. So some more details about it. Role of state. Yeah, new areas not allowed production. That's called plant production and marketing. You cannot be just letting people do things they want to do. If you have to attend to markets in a manner that you do the right kind of production, then you make sure that the right kind of things are only produced in right amount and right quantity. Otherwise, you will be cutting your own feet by producing excessive amounts like we are doing in many crops in India, where nobody wants to buy them, but people are growing and they want to sell. धक्के से बेचना चाहते हैं वो. Yeah, so that kind of thing will not work. Lot of support from various angles, and so 10% households came into this production within a few years, which is a big number. 2 crops exports became 18% of Taiwan's agriculture exports within 5 years, from just 9%. Look at the transformation. So if you really take a call, well planned, well executed model, things can work out. Of course, we should also keep in mind, like morning we were saying, that it's not one monocropping shift should not lead to another monocropping kind of thing. So that is, but since here we are talking about crop diversification, naturally we have to talk about from one crop to another. That's how we look at diversification in this country also, as of now, in policy perspective. So lessons, I think I've already highlighted in some way. I would skip this. Now look at Indian scenario. Punjab model. Again, Punjab tried contract farming. Pioneer state in India. When nobody even knew what contract farming is, Punjab was doing it with multinationals. Yeah. So same mechanism, but completely messed up. So I call it a complete or absolute failure. A lot of public money was going down the drain, but not even 1% area was shifted. Yeah, as you know the story, that state is going more and more into just one crop, which was supposed to be replaced, which the attempt has been going on since 1989. Almost 35 years now. Yeah. So there all kind of arrangements were there, good, bad, and the ugly, but nothing came. Then the state didn't learn anything from here. The state said, okay, these farmers are foolish. They don't know how to do new crops, so I will do farming. The state said, I will do farming. I'm meaning this when I'm saying this. So Punjab government actually started doing cultivation of new crops on its own. They leased farms from big farmers, small farmers on cash basis. And they employed farm managers and workers to do plantation of new crops, growing of new crops. Naturally, it had to fail. There nobody better than a farmer who can do farming. No corporate, no government can replace the farmer. That should be remembered. And that guy is the most efficient. Yeah, the smallest it is, the best it is. But here they had different take on it. So they did all this. Even today, court cases are going on this. The government has not paid even the lease rates, whatever lease amounts to the farmers whose lands were leased for this whatever number of years and so on. So this is the negative story, and I will not be surprised if that takes this kind of call again. Yeah, the draft report which has come in, it doesn't give you much hope again. Yeah. Now let's go to neighboring state. So I say India is like 15 different countries tied together into one. We should appreciate that. Instead of looking at it as a negative thing. Neighboring state doing the same thing differently. Yeah. Mera pani, meri virasat. The first state in India to pay cash for crop diversification. 7,000 rupees anybody who gives up paddy. Yeah. In 2 installments. 2,000 when you say that I have planted another crop, and 5,000 once you harvest it. Yeah. All new crop produce, the alternative crop you plant will be bought at MSP. The state government promise. You don't need anything more than that. Yeah. I'm talking with policy. I'm not talking practice necessarily right now, but this is what. They have another plan or scheme called Crop Cluster Development Program. You identified areas where these crops need to be replaced. Yeah. Bhavantar Bhugtan Yojana, started by the union government, proposed by the union government, implemented by the 2 states, Madhya Pradesh and second one Haryana. Haryana is still continuing with it. Madhya Pradesh has given up. And Jal Hai Jeevan Hai scheme. So 4 different schemes to attend to one problem, that is of crop diversification. The state seems to be serious about it. Yeah. Things are, there's some data I'll share you the progress about it. It's not even 3-year-old, 4-year-old program. This is the effectiveness or the impact part you can see. Awareness among farmers and utilization of the state's resources, schemes, change in cropping pattern, paddy to this, paddy to that, and so on. Shift in area, yeah, that is number of percentage of farmers, then percentage of area shifted, and change in income. So there is some movement, definitely not perfect, and 3 years no big time for the long time for this kind of thing, but things seem to be moving. The point I'm making is that if the state is serious, any government is serious about it, not just doing lip service, people listen, people take up those schemes. Yeah. Now you come to Madhya Pradesh, another state. Yeah. In fact, these 2 states also are being projected, or along with another 3 or 4 states, as being the best states in terms of growth performance, not overall but also in agriculture. Yeah. Madhya Pradesh has this crop diversification scheme. Incidentally, union government also, Ministry of Agriculture, gives money under crop diversification scheme to Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh. But most of it is going into crop residue management, nothing better. Yeah, which is only a symptom, not the cause of the crisis. Yeah. So here Madhya Pradesh has this scheme, which is very interesting. They identified districts which are growing paddy or wheat. Interesting. We are all worried about paddy. Madhya Pradesh is already worried about wheat. The wheat monoculture, the 80% area, whether wheat or paddy, if any district has crossed that, we will target that for diversification. And I've been saying in Punjab also that Punjab should also look at removing wheat, not just paddy. Both crops are destroying Punjab's farmers. And what else? You know. But nobody seems to listen. They're saying, no, our wheat is anyway great. Even paddy is not bad. Somebody is trying to get carbon credits for paddy in Punjab. It's gone to that level actually. Yeah. So that is a different world altogether. So they are saying that we want to do all this, environmental sustainability, reducing the use of subsidies and whatever chemical input subsidies. And they have done this mechanism of tripartite partnership. State, private sector and farmers have come together. Yeah, there are at least 9 companies I know which are working in different crops in that state for the last 2 years. Farmers are getting money. Companies are not getting any money. Okay. So they are paying farmers some money. I think it's 7,000 or something. Then they are buying back. Private companies committed to buying back the produce. So market part is also taken care of. Even pre-agreed price arrangement is there. So even price risk is taken care of. And they are doing it through Sauda Patrik. No contract farming, only direct purchase. Yeah, only direct purchase. And it's working all right as of now. Farmgate app for monitoring whether any golmaal is going on, any company just not performing its duty, and other partners, so on. And the director of agriculture is the agency to do all this, and all that is so that is another example. Next, please. I have to do, sorry. Yeah, pillars. The pillars are that we will focus on all non-MSP crops. Very clear that we are not disturbing things within the MSP regime. That is not under our control. That is union government scheme. But we'll focus on all crops which do not have MSP as new crops for diversification. I talked to market linkage, stakeholder participation without any with cost sharing. The private also has to show what resources they are bringing in terms of expertise, extension, humans, and so on. And farmers get 730 rupees per acre. Only once, only first year. After that, if you like, you please mind your business. Otherwise, you can get going. This is the way to do it. You can't be giving this year after year after year, season after season after season. You're giving wrong signal. So this, I'm sure this will work. Yeah, these are the targets. Companies, agencies are given targets, crop-wise, area-wise, farmer-wise. Yeah, for 3 years. Yeah, and agencies range from large ones like ITC to small ones like agri startup there, Siddhi Vinayak. Crops range from medicinal plants to vegetable crops, even bamboo and spices, and so on. Yeah, so whatever the number of buyers and acres and so on, so all that is there. These are number of farmers, 38,000 plus farmers targeted, average of 2 acres per farmer, and 83,000 acres. That's a significant area to be done in 1 or 2 years. Now this is another example from Andhra Pradesh. Very different way of attending to the problem. Andhra Pradesh community-based natural farming model. Everybody is talking about it these days. But I am talking about it for a different purpose. It has crop diversification as part of the package. Yeah, they're doing all the things, agroecological transformation and so on. What one of the principles is that you will have crop diversity on the farm. Not in terms of one crop being replaced another, but on the same farm you'll have multiple crops. So I think that is another way of going there. टेढ़ी उंगली से घी निकालने की बात है, अगर सीधा नहीं होता. No cash incentives. Interesting part. No price premium. People can shift their enterprises if it makes business sense to do so. So what are they banking on? Cost reduction, yield remaining same, quality improvement, and therefore automatically you may get better prices for your produce. This is similar to what BCI is doing in everywhere in the world, including in India, Better Cotton Initiative. And that program, which is run by government, retail brands and so on, has spread like wildfire in India within few years. They also don't give any price assurance. They have, why you are smiling so much?
No, because it makes sense that they're trying to solve it from another angle instead of solving it. The theory only point is so valid. It makes a lot of sense.
BCI or this one? Oh, so BCI is only referring for the similarity with this, yeah. So I'm not saying that they are of the same type, yeah. So this is how attending multiple things, but also one component which is of interest to us. So they have this target of converting the whole state into naturally farmed state by 2027. Of course, they are falling behind. They are nowhere near reaching the number, but more than 1 million farmers, 0.8 million hectares of land is already under this in 8 years. It's a long journey, but very sustainable if it can be continued like this. There's a lot of public investment going into it, a lot of farmer investment going into it, but no subsidies, no dole. Sorry?
Public investment in APCNF, I hear other things.
Other things.
I don't hear that much.
Yeah, there is a public and corporate investment as well, CSR. Yeah, that's not central to our discussion. So what are the ways out? Do I have any few minutes or done?
Few minutes.
Then I'll just,
Yeah.
done?
No, almost few minutes you can.
Okay. So what are the determinants of diversification? The technology. If you want to also make farmers understand other benefits, for example, cost reduction, there is a role for technology. Technology need not be GM. it can be more local level and so on. Basically, technology means doing same thing differently, more in terms of innovation. Yeah, investment at farm level is must. Ability of specialized availability of specialized inputs, heavy investment processing level, not to begin with, but at some point in time. Availability of infrastructure. For example, yesterday I was talking about market channels for farmers. There are potentially 8 channels a farmer can look up to. But many times we don't even talk about 3 out of them. And we don't even have one in this country which works for them. I mean APMC mandis. Yeah, we have only 7,000, including sub-yards, and the recommendation is that there should be 42,000 mandis in this country. And we don't even want to care for which we have. So there are those issues, yeah, that is infrastructure of all kinds. Regulatory, conducive regulatory environment, yeah, you don't have to suppress people, you have to regulate fairly. For example, one of the things I remember from 2020 farm bills was, one of the bills saying, Amul should pay its members every week. Who are you to poke your nose into a corporately governed structure? Amul's members will decide when to get payment. But that was part of the regulation of FPOs, including cooperatives. So those kind of things are not required. I think good. Partial solutions will not work because sustainability, of which crop diversification is one part, is a wicked problem. You don't understand the full problem in its whole complexity. By the time you understand one part, the other part comes up. So unless you really take a very comprehensive approach, bringing all stakeholders together and thinking through the model you want to continue with, that is required. Value chain wide interventions are needed. Only production level. One of the concerns I had with the natural farming thing also, that a lot of focus on at the farm level, field level, farmer level. What happened to after the value chain in terms of processing, marketing and so on? So many such projects do not have this whole linkage built up, that how the produce which is grown new will be moved on in terms of reaching the market effectively, efficiently, as well as profitably for the ultimate stakeholder, who is the farmer. Yeah, so that is required. Value chain interventions based on value chain mapping and so on is required. We need big change, disruptive environment. Tinkering will not do. Let's change the variety, let's change the method, let's do this, let's do dry, let's do wet. This is not going to make the thing we are looking for. So you have to have big sort of changes. Small improvements, bullock cart won't give you a motorbike. Okay, वो जुगाड़ ठीक है कुछ time के लिए, but after that you have to really move on, yeah. Group contracting, I said I have been talking about, somehow nobody is listening, yeah. Land use planning based on soil depth, quality and so on, so that we don't really compromise on the resource base we have. More importantly, we need a lot of innovations in rural production and marketing institutions. And we are somehow having a lot of institutional decline there. We don't have enough of institution to handhold the farmer and other stakeholders there, unless you do something that, and this tendency that state can do everything, or state should not do everything, should be left to NGOs. That is another paradigm, yeah, in some places. I think these extremes are not good. We need to work together, and we need to find more new and innovative mechanisms and institutions, yeah, which can engage all this. I'm a great fan of farmer producer companies, because I've been looking at it for the last 32 years, right from the conception of the idea. I think if we can make that institution work in the globalized, liberalized market, nothing like that. That is the last hope for small farmers. If we can make farmer producer companies, not other kinds of FPOs, then we would have won the game. And we don't need to do too many. We can just do with 20,000 plus farmer producer companies to set this country's agriculture sector right. Thank you very much.